So ideally when you're driving a race in, you're trying to find a cup that sits in there so that you're making contact with this ridge right here. As you can see, this one's too big, but the next size down is also barely just too big, doesn't quite make contact. So you're just going to want to go the closest you can get that has the most contact with the seal. Since I don't actually have a correctly fitting one, I'm just going to put a rag in between the two surfaces so that I don't mar up the race surface, because you don't want to mar that up. So I've hammered it in there a ways now, and you'll know it's in when this piece doesn't move around freely anymore. It'll be tight and stuck in there. That's how I got her set up. So now when I go to grab this cap, it's in all the way, and that's how you know she's tight. Alright, now that it's in, we're going to put in your bearing and the end cap, little dust cap or whatever. So this guy sets in like this, and this guy goes over the top. But first, we're going to need to grease it, which is why I'm wearing blue gloves. So there's already a ton of videos online about how to grease a bearing properly. So I did it off camera because I only have one hand available to hold things. So if you want to go watch people dicker about technique for packing bearings, you can spend a good little bit of time on YouTube doing that, but that's good. I'll take this guy, set him in there. Now this is going to be able to sink all the way down. Well, not all the way down, but until it's like in there pretty good. So get something flat, set it on there, and then hammer it in. Be careful because it's pretty thin, and you don't want to put like excess pressure on just one point because you will dent it. There you go, you can see that it is flush. So make sure you get that in there all the way, because if you don't, a bunch of dirt will slip in. Alright, anatomy overview really quick. So we got this guy nailed in. This is the lower kingpin. You're looking at it upside down right now. This lower kingpin piece that goes through the knuckle is going to drop into here like that, but obviously the knuckle is going to be in between it. It's kind of hard to get it all pinned into place and push it in straight and whatnot, but you want to push it in straight. So what I do is I kind of get everything set roughly into place, and then I go and take the upper kingpin down here and I kind of just guide it in a little bit, just hand tight, so that it kind of holds it in case I slip. Alright, so this knuckle's on here, and then I took the, you can't, well, wait, maybe you can. Alright, so the knuckle's just laying on here right now. I took the upper kingpin and just barely put it in there, so it's kind of holding it in place, but not very well. So then you're going to take this lower kingpin plate. I would recommend dunking her in grease real quick. So I'll do that. Alright, so take your 4 bolts that are out of your kit. They're hiding underneath that cap. So it took me a second before I could find them. Quick note, when I popped this off, there was no seal or gasket or anything of that nature, any RTV or whatever. So I'm not really too concerned about sealing it up, but like you can see I put pressure and now there's grease coming out right here. So I'm going to take all these bolts off and RTV it up when I know that I'm done with assembly. So, because there's nothing that's going to cover this when you're done. I mean, you could have the axle mounted in the truck and then come back and RTV this if you wanted to. So being that I'm not 100% confident that this is the last time it's going to be bolted together for the next 30 years, I'm going to wait a second before I RTV it. So this little new grease Zerk fitting came with the Yukon kit. Just thread that in there. Oh, also every single one of these nuts are 80 foot-pounds each. So, and I don't have a torque spec for this grease Zerk, but if you're the kind of guy who needs a torque spec for a grease Zerk, then you probably shouldn't be watching my videos. Also, this is an 8mm wrench. Alright, now that the lower's in, I just rolled this over in my little jet ski stand, and I'm going to tighten this guy up. The torque spec is anywhere from 500 to 600 pounds, so I just set it to 550 and figured that'd be good. Alright, now that the lower's in, I'm going to roll this over in my handy little jet ski stand, and I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to push the little rubber gasket in place and then thread this back in. There's two rubber gaskets we mentioned earlier. There's this one that was hidden away inside of the lower kingpin assembly, and then there's this one which is taller and seems like a better fit for what I'm doing, which is the 78 Dodge. I think the variance is for like different Fords or something, because I don't know, that's kind of par for the course. Generally Ford always has something special going on. So anyways, this is the one I'm using. It seems to fit really well. Alright, so I got the knuckle kind of held in between my legs so this doesn't hold it up. So it's shaped like so, and I'm going to push it down in there. You could also, if you're smart, or if you just pulled this up maybe, you could just slip it in between, but I just pushed it down. It goes in pretty smooth since it's rubber. It just kind of buckles and goes. So you can see I pushed that guy down there. Now that I think about it, it probably actually makes more sense to come in from the top because there's a little flange and it kind of drops into place, whereas pushing it up in backwards might not make it seat very well. So anyways, you push that down through the top, and then I'm going to throw some red Loctite on these threads. I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to, but I figure it couldn't hurt anything. So I can only hand thread this in like a little bit, so just be careful you don't trick yourself into stripping this. Just take your little hex tool, stick it in there. I'm going to take my booster bar, my torque wrench, set my torque wrench on here, and set this to on. I'm going to set this to 500 foot-pounds.